Greetings, everyone. Good morning. And I feel ashamed. You saw me trying to hide, walking in hiding, yeah? Because one of my building blocks was going to be punctuality. Being there and being there on time. Now I'm not going to talk about it, yeah? Yeah. Let's just leave it, yeah? So I'd like to sincerely apologize. Trust me, I'm usually like an hour before when I go to speak somewhere. I go an hour before, and they don't know what to do with me, because I go so early when they're still preparing. There's one time I came here for another function, I think last year, and I found they were still sweeping and arranging chairs. So I'm usually very punctual, pre-punctual. So I'd like to just beg for your forbearance, for your forgiveness, because I believe in punctuality. If we're going to be empowered, if we're going to make impact, if we're going to be really the entrepreneurs we need to be, punctuality is key. So please forgive me and forbear with me. I will not tell you the reason because I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. So let me thank the leadership of this conference. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm honored and I'm humbled. And I believe that every time there is an extended invitation, there is a plan of God. I believe it's not a coincidence. I am where I'm supposed to be today, and so are you. So I'm just going to go straight into the issues I want to discuss. And I love the topic you came up with. I love the theme, because in a way it is addressing, in a way tapping into the Sustainable Development Goal number 5 that sets the agenda for the achievement of gender parity and equality. And that's what we're trying to achieve in a very proper way, in a way that is not aggressive. I don't believe in us being aggressive about what we are looking for. We can be powerful without necessarily going out of order, isn't it? I don't have to drop this wig here to make a point. It's a wig, it's a wig. It is definitely a wig. So I believe as women we can be dignified, we can be honorable, and we can be orderly and still be very powerful. Are we together? We don't have to fight and pull the shirts of the men in parliament and do funny things, yeah? We can be powerful in a dignified way. So I know normally the building blocks we know, or the challenges we know that hinder the women-owned SMEs, or our progress or our success and our growth in entrepreneurship as women. They are obvious, and I'm just going to go through them very quickly, because today I want to deviate. I want to touch on the hidden issues, the ones we don't normally talk about, the soft issues that may be hindering us and where we need to improve. So I'm going to address today the seven P's. I call them the 7 P's. And these are what I'll address today, the hidden soft building blocks that we're going to use in order to overcome the challenges that are standing in our way as women entrepreneurs and owners of SMEs. But let me just go through what I know you've done the whole week, most of the week, and just acknowledge that they are the common, well-known challenges, and which we can also work to create building blocks for them. Like innovation. Often we are told, for you to move ahead, for you to succeed in this area, be innovative. Don't be a copycat. Let's not see so-and-so is doing this. This is what people are doing these days. So you say, I'm going to go into that area of business. I think when we copy without giving it due attention as to what is my specific area, what do I want to go into? So innovation is all about the uniqueness. It's about tapping into that gap where there is a need, and you know that it will be unique in the way you bring it forward. You know, as women, we're nurturers. So when we conceive, we have the power and ability to conceptualize ideas and business ideas, and we can nurture them and incubate them, and they can come out very unique and very innovative in a way. So that's one of the things we're told, be innovative. Don't just do what everybody else is doing. Oh, these days they are doing, sometimes you go into a street, let me even talk of a very small type of business, and just because I sold maize and it's going so well, hata mwingine anakuja analeta kibanda, anauza mahindi. You know, let's not be copycats. Let's look at what is innovative, what is needed. Where can I myself succeed? Also, there's technology. A lot of us, I don't know about you, but a lot of us women we have the capacity and the power to grasp technology very well. And I've seen the women who are really knowledgeable in technology. But I think there's something in us that shies away from technology. Like me, my sons will say, I'll tell them, Ebu, put on that TV. Why is that TV doing like that? Then he will say, Mommy, watch what I'm going to do so you can do it when I'm not here. I said, I don't need to, I even close my eyes. My sons are adults. They are 30, 32 and 33. So they tell me, why don't you just look at what I'm doing, even if it's my phone, any gadget, any technology. Why don't you watch? Because you need to do it on your own when I'm not. And I'm, just do it. I'm not even closing my eyes. Fix it. When it gets spoiled again, I'll call you. You know that kind of mindset where it's too complicated, it's too difficult. Even in the office sometimes, but I have to stop myself. I tell my PA, Ebu, check what's wrong with this gadget. And then she's like, she can see I'm not looking because I'm saying, I'm too old to learn how to do it. Just fix it. See, you are a Gen Z, just fix it and we move on with life. I'm too old to start like, but no, that's a wrong attitude. And I'm teaching myself to really, really grasp the technology. Agree to go into technology. Agree to understand it so that you can enrich your business. Because in this world and in this day, you cannot not do without it. And then there is the risk of risk tolerance. Our risk appetite can be very, very low as women. We are cautious by nature. You hear there's this business, or it entails dealing with cement or something crazy like that, and you're like, that sounds too ridiculous, too complicated, or whatever it is. But I remember when we formed, and I was the founder. Today I'll use myself as an example. I was the founder of setting up a women's investment group some years back. And when we started, I'm the one who rallied the women and said, let's start. When we started, they started telling me, now we invest in this area, this area. One woman came up with an idea, let's invest in an aeroplane. A Cessna, just one we hire it out, and it does training. So we can hire it out, so we hire it out for them to use it for training pilots. These small planes. I was the most objective. I objected. A plane. Since when did we enter into place? Let's just buy a plot in Kitengela. Why can't we just buy a plot in Kitengela? That is so simple and straightforward. Risk averse. You know, this low, our appetite for risk. I was saying, what if it crashes? What if this happens? But the other ladies were in a higher place than me in understanding investments. So they pingered me and I didn't have a vote. So they won the vote and we bought the plane. And it had people to hire. Yes, we did. And it got people to hire it. It got people to hire it, people to trade with it. And I saw that I needed to change and to become more grow my risk appetite. But that's one of the issues that troubles us as women. We look at it, it looks too complicated, it looks too risky. Let's stick to what is soft, what is easy. But I think my challenge is we need to step out of that comfort zone. I'm going through these very quickly because I want to go to my 7 Ps. Of course, partnerships, collaborations, relationships, and networks are crucial. Now, often, I think with us women, what we do is we emotionalize relationships, business relationships. At times, my husband will tell me, oh, we're going to work with that gentleman. He's going to do this for us. Then I'm like, ay, na vile amesimama anaonekana kama anatudharau. And he tells me, forget his posture, forget his color, forget his hair, forget his suit. This is a business transaction. Focus, focus. He's a valuable relationship. Let's not get carried away with emotions. And he doesn't even have children. What if he's not married? He doesn't understand how we emotionalize. We emotionalize relationships when we don't need to. Are we together? There's times it's a network, it's a business relationship. Just tap into what the value of that relationship and let it work for you in that business. You need to separate those issues. If it's somebody, like sometimes you can have a very, 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 very experienced person working for you, but you're so concerned sometimes by the fact that maybe she chooses a particular color to wear. That's really none of your business. I used to be like that, then I said, she's so good at her work. She's not indecently dressed so as to chase away my customers. It's okay. It's never that serious. Just tap into her strengths and in her experience. So relationships are crucial, and one of my P's is about relationships. Of course, education and skills and development. That's a building block. We do need to harness our skills. Study what we need to study, increase your knowledge in an area, understand and learn, sharpening the saw. There's this man, Steve Covey, who talks about sharpening the saw, because you could be cutting a tree with a blunt axe, so you're getting nowhere. The axe is, you need to sharpen yourself continuously, be eager to learn. I say this with a lot of humility, I am impressed by people who know what I don't know. If you don't know what I don't know, then I'll be like a fan, mashabik. I'll look at you I'll listen, I will respect, I will honor, I will receive from you. No matter how young, even if you're 30, 40 years younger than me, that's not an issue. I admire, I understand what I need to tap from other people. So it's very important to submit ourselves to learning, to skills, to mentorship and coaching, and that kind of thing, so that we grow in the areas that we don't have the knowledge in. The lady here said about ignorance. Without knowledge, people perish. Ignorance is very expensive. We need to invest in education, in skills, and learn. Just like we're doing here, we're learning, we're growing. And of course, resilience, adaptability, knowing how to stay in it. Don't give up, remain. And it's been spoken about, that's why I'm not going to go into it. And adaptability. You know, before COVID, I was very averse to this issue of Zoom. Zoom had already come, I believe, but I had closed my mind to it completely. A friend of mine called Frida Owinga was trying to train me in something in my program for the Seasoned Woman. She was trying to teach me something. And she kept telling me, no, Sally, there's something called Zoom, so I don't have to drive all the way from Kileleshwa to Lavington to your office for us to sit down face to face. We can actually do I was telling her, no, Frida, I want to see you face to face. I won't understand unless I can see your face. I want to see your expression. I want to see how you're speaking. I was so averse to anything to do with that kind of change, that kind of technology or that kind of situation. After COVID, you know, Frida laughs at me today. She begs me to meet face to face. I tell her, you taught me Zoom. We haven't seen each other for almost 2-3 years. I told her, you told me it is more economical for us to go on Zoom, so I don't know why you want us to meet. If it's coffee, we can each make a cup of coffee in our house. I drink, you drink, and we discuss. I adapted. Adaptability. COVID made us adapt, isn't it? It made us know new ways of doing things, new ways of understanding things, new mindset. So it's very important as entrepreneurs we learn to adapt to situations, to changes, and things like that. The other thing, which is normally a challenge, but it's a building block also, is reshaping the narrative through media. I think media is a powerful tool that can give us success stories of women who have gone ahead of us, who have succeeded in entrepreneurship. They're holding positions where they're running enterprises, whether public or private, and they inspire the rest of us. So I think there's room for visibility for such stories. Let those stories come out more, let them be told more, and the media is a very good tool for that. Policy shifts. Whenever you hear there are laws going on in Parliament or wherever, changes in policy, laws, don't just ignore them and say, my MP will tell me what it says. Or let's see what they come up with, then we go to the streets and fight. No, there's a system where these laws come through Parliament. There's a process. So we have time to share. We have time to say there's a business bill coming. There are business laws being changed. The Investment Promotion Act is currently being amended. We've been doing stakeholder meetings all over the counties. You should be interested. You should be interested in knowing what is being changed. How will it affect me as an entrepreneur? How will it hinder me? So you give your input at the right time, not when it has already become law. It's very important for us to become alert about the policies that affect us and to promote and to stand with and to vote for those that work for us, policy shifts and things like that. It's very, very important. And the other thing is quotas, of course, to encourage that wherever there's an opportunity where we can promote and speak as groups, as communities, and as individuals towards the quota system, where on gender basis, like where we say from now on tenders should be given to 30%, 30% of tenders in any government institution should be given to women, things like that. Promote that, speak about it, make sure it's happening in your company. At Can Invest, it's supposed to happen. I'm always asking, let me see the report. I want to see the report. I want to see whether indeed we are abiding by this quota system, where the government has told us to give advantage to business, women entrepreneurs and business. And then mentorship programs and coaching. I can't say enough of that, but it is so crucial that we submit ourselves to coaching, mentorship, etc. Now, what I've gone through is what I know you've already gone through this week. And these are the commonly known challenges we go through and the building blocks that we need to use for it. But today I felt very strongly and persuaded that I need to share with you the hidden ones, the ones we never speak about, the ones we may not take as important building blocks or challenges. And I call them the 7 Ps. In my Season Woman Forum, I teach about the 7 Ps in different areas and different topics. And one of the 7 Ps, let me go through all of them first. The first P is your person, your person. And this deals with your identity, assurance of your identity. I have come to believe very strongly that to the extent that I am assured of my identity, I know who I am, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, I know my gifts, I know my talents, I know the skills, I know where I'm weak, I know where I'm strong. It's a starting point of enabling me to step into any industry or to step into any venture. Because that way, there's a self-awareness, there's an understanding of self. There's an understanding of what I could do, what is beyond me, what do I need to improve. And I think it's very important when we have that identity assurance as opposed to an identity crisis. If we suffer from an identity crisis, it is almost impossible to step into a venture successfully. Because you'll always be second-guessing yourself. Somebody will say your product is like this, you make it like it's a personal attack on your person. I said your potatoes are rotten. I didn't say you're rotten. So what happens is when we are not assured of who we are, we suffer identity crisis. We become very timid in stepping out, lack of confidence, low self-esteem. We struggle in really asserting ourselves in the area we have chosen to venture into and standing firm, protecting your product, protecting your services, defending yourself and your methods. It's very important we be very self-assured in terms of our person, your person. What are my proclivities? What do I have a tendency? Like this morning, I know one of my areas of weakness is that when I pick an issue, even if it's a phone call, I must thrash out the issue up to the end. If it's, I don't know how to do a quick, shortcut explanation, a quick short work analysis or solution. If we start the conversation, I need to finish it completely. That's a mistake I made this morning. I pick up the phone, and I knew I shouldn't have picked it up. I pick it, and the conversation is on an issue. And because I know I should have remembered I have a weakness in that I can't do it in 1 second. It's an issue I need to thrash out and bring it to, and once I start, where's you can stop Isha? Yani, the other person who was coming here, so she kept saying, Mom, it's okay, we'll talk later. And I was like, have you understood? Have you understood what I'm saying? Learn your weaknesses. Learn the areas that trip you, the areas that trap you and snare you, and manage those areas. Say to yourself, no, I need to be at Strathmore at this time. I will not pick up this call because I know it's this conversation. It cannot finish in 2 minutes. Are we together? Learning your strengths. What area are you strong in? If you know you're not a strong, let's say, public speaker or something like that, it's not an area you've ever been, then there's some certain businesses you might say to yourself, this is not my area of business. Let me go in the area where I have a strength. Learning your strengths, learning your weaknesses, maximizing your strengths, and managing your weaknesses to the point where you feed your strengths, grow your strengths, until growth of your strengths literally starves your weaknesses. Starves your weaknesses. Because if I'm feeding this side, then my weaknesses are getting starved in the process at that time. So it's important we come to a self-knowledge. What are our deficiencies? What are our proclivities? Do I have a tendency? What is it I have a tendency towards? Is it a tendency of aborting relationships, good relationships? What is it? How can I work at it? Because once you know your person, you know your identity, you're assured of it, you're able to work on self. Because to me, the self-assurance of identity is key to anything we do, in whichever sector you go to. The other thing, and also that self-assurance in identity and knowledge of your strengths and weaknesses will enable you to know your uniqueness. It will enable you to know your uniqueness. Let's say, for example, I say today I use myself a lot. For example, let's say in my law practice, one of the things I discovered very early I've actually practiced for 39 years. I forgot to amend my CV. This is my 39th year in private practice. When I started my law practice, I discovered that I had a strength in engaging clients. When you come to buy a property, for me, it's not just about the sale agreement, the transfer, the registration, Ignaisha. I engage you. I want to know, is this property? How are you feeling about it? We go into a relationship. And clients love that. When the next time she's coming to write her will, she wants to come to Sally. Because Sally engages you. She talks to you. She even tells you, which child is this? Paul Nule Mukora. This Paul. So then I tell her, madam, let's do this. Paul, you told me that Paul has a weakness, yeah? So let's not let Paul take his inheritance at 25, or 21, the legal age of majority, because from the way you've described him, Paul atakula hiyo pesa iishe. So why don't we push it and make it up to 30, 35? Let it be held in trust. Let him be getting an income. So I engage them. There becomes a relationship, not just a transaction and unaisha unaenda. So once I discovered that, it became a niche. You know how you can have a niche? A uniqueness, something the other lawyer is not necessarily doing, which means then you get clients. That's the same thing with trading and business. Discover your niche, discover your uniqueness so that you're innovative as well. And there's something about you because of your assurance of your identity, knowledge of your weaknesses, knowledge of your strengths that enables you. In my areas of weakness, I don't deal. I will have somebody else in my law firm do it. If I know I'm impatient in collecting fees, see, money is important. So if I find that I'm impatient, I get to a point where I'm like, see, these are the rules. We told you we'll give you credit for 30 days. And if I find I'm getting impatient and irritated, I don't want to lose those clients. So I hand it over to somebody else who has a strength in that area. So you manage your weaknesses, you delegate the weaknesses, or you don't venture in the areas of weakness, and you maximize your strengths. So that client will remember Sally, the one who engages her, the one who advises her beyond the legal, who advises her about her children, about her lifestyle, and gives her ideas. She will not remember that Sally was harassing me about fees. Because Sally didn't enter into that area of fees because she has a weakness by being not patient, isn't it? So that's very important. Then you develop your areas of strength. Now, the second P is your purpose. Your purpose. Now, what draws you? What draws you? I think if you look very carefully at what you're doing right now, what you're doing as an entrepreneur right now, many of you will find that you're actually doing something you love, something that draws you. There's a magnetism, something you enjoy. Because I believe very strongly that lest you enjoy what you're doing, success is very elusive. I think it's important to have a passion. If you're doing schools, if you've got a group of schools all over the country, you love education, you love schools, you love the idea of imparting knowledge. If it is clinics, you love medical health, you love the idea of people getting healed and whatever. There has to be something about what you're doing that you love. Because waking up to do something you don't love, then surely you reach up, when things are hard, you won't be able to hold on. So it's very important to discover what draws me, what excites me, what makes me passionate, what do I enjoy? and venture into that. Is it catering? Is it the food business? Is it hospitality? Do I love like setting up, what do they call them? These B&Bs. Do I enjoy setting up places where I can host people and charge them, prayer centers, or is it just a little hotel? Check what draws you, what pulls you. Because if you throw yourself into an area that you absolutely have no liking or business for, or even passion for, it will weigh on you. The gracing is not there. Grace flows when you're in your area of purpose, when you're in your area of purpose. And then what you do is develop knowledge, acquire knowledge in that area. I may love catering. I may really enjoy when I see people doing catering events. They cater at a wedding, they cater. And I could maybe grow very big one day in that enterprise and become one of the mega event organizers or caterers. But I may not have all the knowledge. You can have the passion, you can have the liking for that area, and you can have a knack for it. A knack for it means a sort of like a talent for it or like a gift for it. But there's also education, isn't it? You have to learn how the books work. How do I budget? How do I work out? How do I get customers? Marketing, communication. You mustn't just say, I like it, I'll do it. You must say, I like it, but I have to develop the skills and the education that comes and the knowledge that comes with it, which is very important. Purpose is basically running the right race. Run the right race. Don't run the wrong race. Know which race you're equipped for. You're graced for, you're anointed for, you're gifted for, talented for. Run that race. Whether it is the race of hospitality, whether it is the race of trading in gold, trading in whatever. Run your race. And then after understanding the area of your purpose, that which comes with a natural gracing and it draws you. The other thing is to understand the place. The third P is your place. Which sector? Which sector? Which mountain? Which mountain are you going to establish yourself, operate from, command, and influence? Is it media? Is it media? Is it politics? You know, there's also business in politics, because you can have a business that provides services to politicians or products to politicians or to political offices or to governments and whatever. So find your mountain. Is it education? Is it media? Is it arts and entertainment? Is it what else can it? Is it in the sciences? Find out where am I then going to operate from. Once I know what my area is, let's say I want to do catering. Where am I going to cater to schools? Am I going to cater to government institutions? Am I going to cater for weddings? Find your sector. Because you cannot be everywhere. You need to develop a niche and a knack where you can be the best in that area, the best in that sector, the best in that industry. So it's very important to find your place, your mountain. Understand the dynamics of your place, of that mountain. Understand how it operates. Understand the etiquettes, the protocols, the traditions, the cultures of that sector. Let's say it's a legal profession. The legal profession, what you find is, was a time when there's a tradition where a senior lawyer, if I'm somewhere in an entertaining place with a junior lawyer, there's a tradition that says that junior lawyer must pay the bill. It's just a tradition in the legal profession. Yeah, the younger lawyers pay for the senior lawyers. Yes, it is true. That's what happens. And what happens is it's known and it's automatic. So you go into a restaurant or you go somewhere and the junior sees you go into your wallet. They have to stand up and say, "Senior, I've got this." Oh yes, that's how it works. And then the other thing is, another tradition in the legal profession is when we are in court and there are several cases coming up and you're all seated there waiting for your cases, the judges know that the senior lawyers will have the first to address, yeah? There's a natural, it's like a tradition or a culture. It's not a law. And it's respected and we respect it. There's a time we could only wear black and gray and navy blue to court. These days I see them in orange, pink, the Gen Zs. I get a shock when I go to court and I find people wearing bright orange and pink. There was a time we couldn't. When I first started practicing law, I went before Justice Mary Angawa, and it was a Friday, and all I was going for is to collect a judgment. You know, just to collect a judgment, there's not much. You go there, she reads the judgment, and you take it back to your boss. So when I went, I was going for the weekend to Mombasa. I was a young and married girl. That weekend, we were going with a group to Mombasa Raha, you know, proper. So I was in braids. So I had braided my hair, you know. I wore, and it had toe beads, you know. And I was just going to collect the judgment. After that, I go to the office. At 2 o'clock, we were going to Mombasa with the bus, you know. So I go before Justice Angawa, and she looks at me. Is that the kind of hair you're supposed to come to my court with? I panicked. She said, go and do that hair. Come back and get your judgment. And don't come back on Monday. She was very sharp. She somehow knew I might delay till Monday or the next week. She said, I want you today, before the end of the day, I want you back here without braids to get the judgment. Because it wasn't allowed in my days. It was seen to be casual. You had to be properly attired. So I went, I fumued that hair. And you know, when it was being done already, my head was throbbing. You know how you put Vicks? You know how you put Vicks? You take Panadol after you're braided. I think a long time ago, you know, things have changed. Before, they used to think you had to pull the hair until somebody gets a headache or a migraine. So can you imagine undoing it? Oh, it was terrible. What am I saying? Learn the culture of the sector you're going into. How do caterers operate? What is the code of ethics? What are the cultures? What are the traditions? What are the protocols and etiquettes? Learn the culture and operate within the industry codes so that you fit in and you align, because you can take you backwards if you resist what you find there. It's very, very, very important. Now, so that's your place, your sector, your industry, your mountain. Running in the right lane. There is running the right race. And then even if it's a right race, there are several lanes, isn't it? Chagua lane yako. Don't run in the wrong lane. That is your place of assignment, your place of operation, your mountain of influence, where because you're there doing the right thing, you've already discovered your purpose and your area of business, the area that draws you, you will then be flowing. You've got the identity issues in place. You know your person, you're confident, and then you come into your purpose, you've discovered it, then you come into the place, and you're flowing. You're increasing your capacity and unleashing your potential as you fulfill these P's. The fourth P is your people. Your people, relationships. There is no way we are going to get anywhere as entrepreneurs and business people without relationships. Relationships are crucial. And it's not that everybody in the world or everybody in Kenya is part of your business or part of your network. You have to identify the right people to connect with, the right people to collaborate with, the right people to network with. It's very crucial. What is it you need? What is it they need? So you align in a way that there's value flowing from one to the other. It's a business thing. So here, I'm not making friends with Washeke so that she takes me to do my nails or she knows more nail places. It's because she knows finances. She knows investments. She knows. I tap into that. So I identify her and I zero in into her as a collaboration, as a collaborator, as a partner, as a network. So identify what you need in people. Those are your people, your relationships. And as I said earlier, with women, we have of over-analyzing relationships. We get too carried away with issues about relationships and they abort our businesses. Because remember, this is a business relationship, yeah? This is a business relationship, so you need to remember the boundaries at some point. You're not going to be inhuman or cold, but there is a purpose for which there's that relationship, yeah? If I want to go and do my nails, I'll find my other girls. We don't do finances with those girls, we do nails, we do hair, we do chips, isn't it? So learn to zero in on the right relationships, the right networks, and learn to nurture those relationships. Sometimes we lose value. We expect them you protect the relationship, guard it, see its value. If it's punctuality is very important. For example, my relationship with Strathmore and the leadership of this conference is key to me. It's very important that I'm humbled they invited me. So I can spoil it by coming late. Now, if they invite me again and I come late, I can allow them to give up on me. Today, they'll forgive me. Are you seeing what I'm saying? You have to respect the relationship. Feed it. Nurture it. Be respectful. Be on time. give back. Sort of like it's a two-way traffic, two-way street. So you don't just want to rip, use that person, and you're not giving into that relationship. So it's a work. There's a work involved in maintaining, identifying the right relationships, the right networks and collaborations, and maintaining them, and understanding their purpose. What is the purpose of this relationship? So that, sometimes there's a time I was teaching a seasoned woman in my mentorship class and telling them, don't come and get angry with me as I come to see you in hospital. You're assuming we have that kind of relationship of hospital visiting. There's nothing wrong with hospital visiting. But maybe we're not at that level of relationship. Are we together? There's another type of friend who I'll break my legs going to the hospital to see. Isn't it? So these are hard things to say and they sound cruel, but it's important to learn what is this relationship? What are the boundaries in this relationship? What are the elements? What are the expectations in this relationship? Is it the kind of relationship where she expects me when her son needs school fees, I chip in automatically? Maybe not. Maybe I have other relationships where that is an expectation and I must fulfill it, because it's a kind of friendship where that friend expects me to step up and help her with school fees, and I also expect it of her. Yet the other relationships, I will not even ask them to help me in my son's school fees, because it's not that kind of relationship. We're not there. Learning to understand the different types of relationships. Which ones do you want for your business and enterprise? What is their purpose? What are the boundaries? Are we together? Very, very important. Your right people, the right people, and nurturing those relationships, understanding them. There's power in relationships, in business, very much power. And you need to learn how to work on that. Joint ventures, how to relate. Because sometimes, especially I find this in the church, they want to say, no, Minister Sally, we don't need any contract. Tunajuana, ameokoka nimeokoka. I'm like, stop it. Drop that nonsense. Mumeokoka, yes. But this is a contract. Let's write it, she signs, you sign. Mmoja wenu akibreach, we come back to the terms of the contract. Don't change the rules of the game because you want to bring it to business dynamics like salvation, that we're both born again. Sometimes the people who are going to give you business are not even Christians as such, if you're a Christian, isn't it? So we need to be wise about it. Sometimes somebody can be very born again, very godly, but they're not your portion in business. You can go to the prayer meeting and Bible study. But just because you do Bible study to get your prayer partners at tuingie business mamoja, that business can collapse so badly. Mutakosana, your salvation itaanza kuangalia south. Isn't it? So it is so important to separate boundaries. Understand the strengths you're bringing in, the people with the strengths you need in your business, and the strengths you're putting into their business. So that is very, very important. The other P number 5, is your process. Your process. Talking of 7 P's that are building blocks. These hidden building blocks we never talk about. Your process. Making an enterprise grow and become mega and influential and impactful. And for you to be a name that we talk of. When we talk of a particular area of business, tunataja jina lako. Yani when you talk of financial acumen or financial advice, you talk of Washeke. There are people who are known for that. You're talking in a place and you're discussing, and immediately that name comes up. Because she's known for that. It's her area of expertise. So what I'm saying is that there's a process which Washeke took to get there. I'm using Washeke because I can see her and I know her. There is a process to get to where we're going, isn't it? It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not an overnight micro oven. It is a long cooking. It will take time because what goes through the process is what gets grounded. It has roots, deep roots. Your business and enterprise will have deep roots if you allow a process. Allow it to go through the process of growth, of going through the seasons, the storms. There are different times where your business will undergo storms. You don't close it. It's not necessarily time to close it. So it's gone through that storm. It's getting strengthened. The next season, it comes out. You have learned lessons from the storm. It grows over time. It grows over time. So that, as I say, process ensures deep roots. So it's not something that grows in 3 months. Like a maize plant. it grows about 3 months. So before you know, the roots are very shallow, and you can rip it up. Then there's another kind of plant that grows deep, deep, deep. So it's stronger. It's stronger. So you want a strong enterprise, a strong business, a strong SME. And for it to be that strong over time and to have the impact you wanted to have and to bring you the income that you wanted to bring, you must allow yourself to go the process. The business will go through a process, evolving, growing from this to this, overcoming storms, going to this. It's a process. You will also go through a process. You as the owner of the business will also go through a process of character building, character development. This is not the same Sally that was there 38 years ago. She's not the same lawyer. Today, if you ask my clients who have stayed with me, she's very different. She's mature. Her way of dealing with things is very different. She has grown in character. She has grown in the right qualities and traits. The weaknesses have been thrashed out, and she's swimming in strengths. You know what I mean? So it's important for you to allow a process, time. There's a time I used to say to my husband that, how come this biashara of mine is not, I used to have a little shop. How come this shop is not selling? I'm always paying rent. Then you tell me, you're not allowing it to grow. Or whenever we do a project with my family, I say, where are the profits? Then they say, ata ijamaliza mwaka, you have to let a business grow before you eat it and finish it. When you get the first profit, put it back in the business. That's a process. Put it back in the business so that you're not in a hurry. It's very important to allow the process. Now, even as I said that you don't give up when your business goes through storms, there is a time when you must know when to close shop. Yeah? There's a song by a cowboy, I think it's somebody Whitaker, about the gambler. The gambler, he knew when to go. He knew when to get up and go. There are some businesses, utayangalia, you will do a SWOT, and Jabeni, let me funga this one. Are we together? That is so key, because if you don't, it will continue to drain you, and it's not going where it's supposed to go. But I think it's a discerning and seeking expert advice who will tell you, anyway, this one, maybe another time, another season, but for now it's not. I remember I had a little shop in Mombasa, and it wasn't that I understood trade at that time. All I wanted was to put pretty things that had no function. I had tobos, I had, just pretty things, Like when you ask me, what is this for? No, it's just pretty. It's just nice. And sure, if you walked into that shop, it was the prettiest little shop in Mombasa when I used to live in Mombasa. But it had non-functional things. Yani, my friends would buy out of pity and friendship. But a real customer would say, so what will I use this for? And I'm like, I don't know. Just go and put it in your house, I paid rent for that shop stubbornly. Because my husband had listened and he had held his tongue. Because he knew. If he stops me, I'll say, you're kanyangering my dreams. Why are you kanyangering my dreams? My dreams are valid. So he had watched me and decided, let her learn for herself. So I paid rent. A year, 2 years. I never got a profit. I never got anything out of it. And in the end, I gave away all those pretty things because there was no one to buy them. And what I'm saying is that there is a time before the hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. You have to know when to stop and walk away. Yeah, walk away because so they have to balance between not giving up, being resilient, and when to give up and when to actually stop and go on. So that's the fifth P. The sixth P, and I'm finishing now, are your principles. I believe that big businesses or the real solid businesses that will stand the test of time and really have the impact they're supposed to have and make you a name and a voice that we cannot ignore and command your mountain are businesses where you have principles, where you have established ethics, values, principles. I am not going to make it by being corrupt. I'm not going to make it by undermining others. I'm not going to make it by having inappropriate relationships with godfathers. I am not. I am going to establish principles, ethics, values, habits, consistency, honesty, transparency. I believe businesses that are based on principles, well-established principles over time, have the highest chance of success once you put all the other dynamics together. It is important because we can build a business without the right principles and values and ethics and habits, and it can flourish like a mushroom. But one day, so we see it in newspapers, siku moja itakuja kuanguka. It will collapse and bring you shame and reproach. So it's very important as women, dignity, I talked about at the beginning. Let's build our enterprises with dignity, with principles and values, where when people look at it, there's nothing they can say against this. There's no one you killed to get it. There's no one you undermined. There is nothing you stole. You know, it has the fingerprints of God on it. It is vetted and it is found to be qualified in the sense that you walked with principles and habits that were right. And the values are not unconscionable or immoral. Sometimes people say, oh, it's okay to get into human trafficking. There are some people out there who need babies, and there are so many babies walking around our streets. That's not a trade you can be proud of, even if you grow the biggest trade in dealing with children. It's immoral and it's illegal, first of all. So I think principles, etiquettes, character, your character, your character, your person, just the way people see you and trust you. You build trustworthiness and your business aligns with who you are, and it grows who you are. So those principles and etiquettes and habits are very important. They take time to build because it takes time to sit under mentorship, coaching, understand, learn, see the mistakes you made because of wrong principles, see the mistakes you made because of wrong ethics, wrong values, and change. Instill, establish the right ones, and get back on the right path. And I'm finishing now. Because that principles build you the right brand. They enable you to then have the right brand for your company, because it can be known for a positive brand and a positive impact. The last one, number 7, is your prize, as in your reward, your harvest. It's very important as we succeed, and we're not here because we're not going to succeed. We're here because out of this conference, there's going to be hamper harvests. We're going to apply all the principles we're learning, and our businesses, our enterprises, our SMEs are going to grow to a point where we will remember we came to this conference. Things went up from that conference. My business is now at this level. Now, when it gets to there and it gets to the point where the harvest is coming in, the fruits of your labor are coming in, it is so important to learn how to deal with your harvest. Very, very important. How do you deal with your prize, your reward? When you make all that money, when you have all that impact, all that influence, all that social good impact, or whatever it is, the end, what we are working towards, when it finally manifests, and your business has delivered, how do you handle the harvest? It's very, very important to understand. Because one of the things I'm persuaded deeply about is that you need at that point to think of legacy. You need to think of the impact your successful business will have on the current generation and future generations, yeah? It's beyond just making it, having the money, buying the cars, and buying whatever else. Those are all good things. But it's the impact it will have nationally, globally, the legacy you will leave. And it's important to begin, when the harvest starts pouring in, to begin to think, how do I handle this harvest? What legacy do I want this harvest to speak? What footprints do I want to leave in this sector where I have succeeded so much? Where I've made so much money. So it's important how you respond to the harvest, how you use the harvest, how you treat the people who helped you get the harvest, how you become generous with your harvest. How do you deal with that harvest? How do you resow, replant the harvest? The farmer never eats all the seed, yeah? He never eats all the seed, yeah? He leaves some of the seed to do what with it? He doesn't eat all the harvest, yeah? There's a seed that he plants the next season, isn't it? You must look at your harvest and your rewards and your prize from your enterprise and say to yourself, I cannot swallow. There's that portion that I will reinvest. I will replant for a greater harvest the next season. It's very important because some people, when you really climb the mountain and you come to your success, you come to your harvest, you come to your growth, that's when we are bought. That harvest can even become rotten. And especially when we don't understand how to bring it in, how to store it. Just like in a natural scenario. If my bananas have grown, my fruits have, everything has grown, I must know the timing of bringing in my harvest, the principles of bringing in my harvest, how to bring it in, how to store it, how to work on it, isn't it? Yeah? And I think I would need more time for that point. But what I'm saying is that when the harvest comes, think of how you will respond to that harvest, how you'll handle that harvest, so that it doesn't mean at the end of the day the harvest is what messes you up, is what destroys you, is what makes you arrogant, is what makes you ungenerous, it's what makes you mean and cruel. Let the harvest build a legacy. Let it be seen to have done something good. Are we together? Are we together really? Those are the 7 P's. I told you these are the hidden blocks. We don't normally talk about these areas. We talked about lack of access to finance. We talk about all those other ones we know, and we are working on them. See, they're not important. They're important. We're working on them. We are trying to see how discrimination can stop so that we get our gender equality. We're trying to see how we can access finance, how we can access markets, how we can overcome all those challenges and have building blocks to help us grow. But these are other internal, they're self. These are when you look at yourself, introspect, look at me. Before I start blaming the government for not giving women finance or the financial institutions, before I start blaming people for discrimination, for not giving women a chance, let me also look at myself, isn't it? Look at me deeply and say, what should I sort out before I go to fight the war out there? Isn't it? Amen, amen. Are you blessed? All right, that's the end.
Thank you for that presentation, and thank you for making me the first to start. Yeah, it's really a wow for me. I'm happy I came. Quite a bit, I'm still pondering. So my question is on emotional intelligence. Because I love the point, I was actually tickled when you talked about, how is this man standing? And some of us are like that. How are they walking? These are a lazy brat and will not deliver. And sometimes that becomes then a challenge because you keep on now changing the workers, and then you end up getting a burnout because you feel you are the perfect person to do whatever you want to do. You know what you want done, yet sometimes you are not the professional. So that's number one. Then there were quite a bit. I don't want to ask all of them now. Another one is now handling the harvest, which I believe is handling the success. And sometimes you've succeeded, and success now gets into the head. And now you want to walk on everyone. You cannot be told. You know it all. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you know what happens when you don't walk in humility. So I would maybe just ask you to shed more light in those areas. And maybe in future, then, we could have a forum whereby, we have maybe the doctors or the professionals to help us handle emotions, because that's another area where you are doing your business, and one morning you are okay, another day you are not okay. And maybe it's just an issue that you need a professional to help you navigate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking only 2 questions and leaving the others for later. Who else has a question? We'll take only one more.
My name is Carol Jeru. I'm a tax and accounting consultant. And I would like first to appreciate our speaker and ask a question regarding employees, especially when you're dealing with agencies. I would ask from you to, if you have a nugget that personally I can take back to my office, to just how to navigate this space, because it's starting to be a bit difficult. Yeah. And yet there are the people we are having in our offices. I just met one lady earlier. She's somewhere here at the breakfast, and I'm glad I did go and meet her. And I can clearly tell she's a Gen Z, and she's awesome, and I'm looking forward to meeting her after this. They have the greatest ideas that some of us need to take us forward. Yet you need the wisdom, and I would use the word grace to know how to go forward in them. So kindly help us. Thank you very much.
My question is going to touch on the first P, the person, and also the last P, which was prize. You introduced yourself as a person from the legal front, and I think you mentioned a bit of you doing mediation. So why the first P? Because this is personal. I don't know whether you do mediation exercises, because that is where I get in trouble with my pricing. And sometimes I want somebody who can sit me down with my client when it comes to failed payments.
I didn't get your question, my dear.
My question is,
yes.
You did introduce yourself as a legal person,
yes,
especially the area of mediation.
Yes.
I have my business, and when it comes to pricing, I sell it, and sometimes it is not paid on time, or it becomes a bad debt. So I'm appealing to your person. I don't know whether you have mediatory services that you offer, so that we can know where, or I can know where to turn to.
Okay, to get mediation or advice on mediation?
Whichever, I don't know how you'll answer that.
Okay, very good. Paid on time, yes.
And yes, and including advice on getting your payments on time.
That's right, yes. Very good. Shall I start answering? All right. Let me start with the emotional intelligence issue. And you know, sometimes when I use myself as an example, my lady friends tell me, don't keep telling people your weaknesses in public, and your history of how you were. But it's true. I suffered with emotional intelligence. I think sometimes what happens, if you're very authentic, let me say this, and I know there are many in the room who can guide us better on this. When you're authentic in calling a spade a spade, you know, there are those people who call a spade a spade. They don't know how to pretend. I'm one of those people. I really like honesty. We can't all sit in a committee meeting and we come out there pretending on an issue and there's an elephant in the room. I'm usually the first one to say, but what about this, this, this? And it's unpopular because you have said what shouldn't be said. It's not kosher. It's not protocol for you to have aired it. It took me years. And what helped me? Mentorship and coaching. Because I'd watch my friends navigating such situations very well. Then we come out and I ask her, Jane, how come you didn't comment on that issue? You know, but you saw what I saw. She said, yes, I saw, but that wasn't the space. That wasn't the space to comment on this, and those are not the people. There's another way we can address the issue without remaining pretending or dishonest. So I was mentored and coached. Let me give you an example. It's even like when one time, the way I got my friend to mentor me in that area, we were sitting somewhere and another friend of ours was criticizing her son's relationship, you know, in a cruel way, but some people don't know they're being cruel, yeah? And these are adult young men about to marry, and she was just finding fault in all that. Me, it wasn't my son. But already, I was boiling. And I felt she should have told her to stop it, you know. It's not true, don't say that. But my friend kept quiet, and she didn't fight it. She just said, oh, is that how you see it? Okay. She didn't erupt like me. She could see me shaking in my chair, wanting to erupt. Later on, I told her, how can you allow her to say that? She said, I can tell she has a problem. Akona issue. Either she's jealous that my child is about to get married to a good family, and she doesn't know how to handle it. So she's spewing out venom without really, you almost accommodate. Unaona huyu mtu akona shida. So you don't enter that situation because it will not solve the issue. No matter how much you defend that situation, it will not help. She's a human resource expert, so I'm sure she understands it better than me. That's a day I told her, you're going to mentor me. Because me, I would have spoken uglily, we would have lost that friendship, and that's a good friend of ours, by the way. She was just going through a hard time. Her own child had not married properly. You know how she's coming with woundedness and with frustration. I was taught with all my authenticity how to control it, how to gear it in the right way, when to speak, the timing, the place, the when, the where, the who. I was taken through that mentorship by my two friends. And I eventually, I haven't perfected, because saingine naweza kuchomolea kitu, and then you just wonder, but it's just that I understood. And even also, let's say as chairman of Can Invest right now, yeah? There are politics, dynamics. You can see them. You can discern the politics going on, even against you, yeah? I have learned not to open my mouth or address it. Because there are other ways to address it without becoming emotional, without getting into a fight with your juniors, without losing respect, and honor. So it's mentorship and coaching is the answer. That's how I was trained and how I grew out of low emotional intelligence, because for sure I was a victim of that. And it was clouded by my desire to be authentic, to speak what I knew should be spoken. But I was speaking it to the wrong people at the wrong time, at the wrong place. So I learned to gear that, navigate that. The other one is handling success, the harvest. It is true, you can do so well and fall at the end when you don't know how to handle success. Handling success is deliberate, it's intentional. It's actually, like I said, I have written 7 books. And each of those 7 books deal with some of these P's. There's a whole chapter on your harvest, the purpose of your harvest, how to respond to your harvest, how to protect it from being getting rotten, how to protect it from being stolen, how to resow it, the harvest. I've written all that about how to, and it's all about handling success, how to not reach success and whatever. Now what it is, and I said it can't be dealt with in a short time, it is character development. Do you know if the process I talked about also develops our character? It develops us inwardly so that you grow mature. You become mature and you allow your character to be developed. At some point, by the time the harvest comes, it is very difficult for you to be proud when your character has been worked on and shaped and molded to the point where you know how to walk in humility, even with the greatest success. You know how to honor other people, how to respect other people's views. So I believe that your ability to handle success will have come from your ability to embrace the process of your making and your shaping and your molding. I have a whole book on your shaping and your molding. And it teaches you to go through the storms of life and how you still come out strong. You still come out shaped. So when the harvest comes, you will handle it with such maturity, with such knowledge and understanding, with such order that you will not lose your harvest or abort it. So I think it's got to do with character development and being able to submit yourself to the process and come to the place where this harvest was not mine. I didn't get it on my own. Sometimes we can think I did it on my own. I don't owe anybody anything. But revelation of coming to a place where you know, if it were not for this group of people, if it were not for this, if it were not for this, and being able to appreciate those people, those situations, and acknowledging them, then it shows a maturity that has come into place. So I think it's got to do with character growth and maturity. Now, the one about Gen Zs, even millennials, the ones who are slightly older than Gen Zs, my sons, by the time I reached a point of dealing without getting frustrated, because they have a different way of handling things, I would sit with my son to help him with, maybe he's trying to get a job or do something, and I would tell him, okay, let's sit here after dinner, then I help you and guide you how you're going to apply for this, how you're going to get this business, whatever. So he comes there without a biro and a paper. See, we're old school. As we know, you come with a notebook and you come with a biro. So he comes there, and he sits there with his phone. Then I tell him, what are you going to write? He shows me the phone. So it took me so long to accept that. Because I'm like, how can you write on your phone? Will you understand? Will you remember? Write on a paper where you can put it, where you can read. There are different ways of dealing. I watched it. It frustrated me. I would insist. Then eventually I said, okay, let me test it. Over time, I would then check to see, did he record? Did he implement what we said? And he did. Are you getting me? It's just a different methodology of doing things. I believe you have to write notes. I believe you have to write a letter to that company. He tells me, Mom, do you know I can call them? I say, no. Me, I think you write letters first. What? He says I can go online. I can actually go on the website. I can check and even make a comment on the website. I'm like, no. Andika Barua said, dear Mr. Joroge. That is old school. That is how we were raised. That's how we did it, isn't it? So what it is with this younger generation is, instead of reacting and insisting they do things our way, watch the way they do their things, and if it's working for them, align yourself to it. Seriously. Now even with his businesses, I've come to accept. Then I tell him, let's now write to your customers and ask them for feedback, what. So he'll listen to me, and he knows not to answer too much. But he'll find another way of getting that feedback that is different from the way I would do it, because I'm using my old traditional way. So let's adjust to that. And also, the other thing, and not get offended, the other thing you find, we were all auntie, uncle, you walk in and you greet them, you submit, you almost, it's not that they don't have the respect, but they handle you in a different way. They'll come, hi Uncle Sam. You and I would have sat there to greet, to do what? There's no disrespect in their hearts if you have brought them up right. It's just their way. See, you're talking to mommy. See, this is an adult sitting. Me, I've got my things to do. I just said, hi, Uncle Sam. I think you just need to not overanalyze. Overanalyze the situation. Otherwise, we'll miss them. They are very intelligent. They are very intelligent and intentional. And one time my son told me, but me, he worked for a company that allowed them to do as long as you do your work, it doesn't matter whether you came to the office to do it. And I told him, you have to quit that job. That one is teaching you bad manners. How can they say you can work anywhere you want as long as you deliver the results? But that's how best he operated. If he felt he needed to work at midnight till 3 and not wake up until 10, he delivered and even got an award in that company. I wanted him to get up at 7, go and sit on the desk and do the work. Let's understand things have changed. Methodologies have changed and align with it. Where there's obvious out of step, then we direct them and we guide them. But when it's delivering what it's supposed to be delivering, let's stop overanalyzing it and align with it, yeah? Then so it's wisdom and grace. Grace is the word. Because I had to find the grace to allow it. You give them a contact, this auntie wants to order this from you. Then they say, okay, thanks. They say, you're not going to call her now? She tells me, Mom, just leave it. I have to check whether I have what she wants. Me, I'm like, just call her and tell her you're going to check. No, let me check first. It's just a different way, and it works for them. So let's allow it. Don't be the mother like me when I now start writing to all my friends. Did my son contact you to order this? Please, how did he talk? Did he say anything out? Did he say anything wrong? I apologize. Let's stop that. In fact, when my friends tell me, why are you asking? He was very good. We dealt. You have nothing to do with this business. Leave it alone, you know? It's very important. Now, the other question is on the person and the price and the fees issue. I was taught something after I grappled with how to collect fees. Laying the systems and the structures in your business, even if you're doing mediation. Information. I learned how to communicate. Today, I have a standard letter. Dear Mr. So-and-so, hereunder is my understanding of the instructions you gave me when we met in my office. As I told you, I would calculate my fees and let you know. My fees are this, calculated according to this. It's my company policy to collect 50% at this point, and thereafter I'll open a file and start the work. I sometimes avoid talking money face to face. I put it in writing because I don't want to be shana with you. I wait for you, we discuss, you tell me the assignment, then after you go, I write you a letter and quote my legal fees, yeah? In fact, I'm so clever, I don't sign the letter. It's signed by the administration manager. We refer to your meeting with Mrs. Mahihu, wherein you agreed on this and this and this. Our fees are this, like it's another department, unaona? You remove it, otherwise I can't serve that client if I'm bishanaring about money. I need to focus on serving that client. So I learned how to push it to another department. So even when they argue about that, my admin will come and tell me, he's saying you reduce. Then I tell him you've thought about it and you give him this discount. So the money issue comes out of me, and it's on them. I know there's another kind of business where there's not so many structures, so many staff members with you, so it's just maybe you doing mediation. I believe in written communication when it comes to money. I find it very difficult. I'll charge you 100K. Then it becomes sour. You start discussing and it's not nice. Do it in writing. Tell him to please respond in writing. Then respond, so it's a healthy communication. And where you can delegate, delegate. What I learned for speaking engagements, I know I'm not being paid for this, and I know the kind of institution, but there's some where I get paid, okay? And what I was taught is, because at first I used to be the one communicating. They write, I email, and I say I charge this per hour or per session. Then we start missionary. I was told, stop it. It's going to defile what you're going to deliver. Because you go there already defiled, you're already feeling bad. Hand it over to your accountant and other people, your PA. Let your PA say, Ms. Mahiu charges this, and let the collection be towards that direction. Nothing to do with you. Sometimes even when you don't have a structure with staff members and things, you can even assign somebody. You say, I collaborate with a colleague of mine known as Sally Mahihu. She will write to you about my fees on this issue, and she will direct you where to credit the amount. Are you seeing? You remove it first from yourself, but honesty is important. I think it's very important to make it quite clear, this is my charging system. Don't go around in circles. Don't fear to address the issue of money. And be comprehensive in explaining what you're charging for. What I have found makes my clients pay is when I am categorical and clear. What is this 10K for? What is this for? What is for the government? What is for the lands office? What is for the agent? It is so transparent, and I say, on what basis am I calculating? Which is it the advocate's remuneration order? Where am I deriving my charging system? I'll explain to you. When I do this, I'll need to personally go to the immigration office several times, because sometimes some of these things have to be pushed by a senior. You have to go and have meetings with your networks, and it's very difficult. It will take a lot of my hours. I explain why I'm charging you what I'm charging you. And by the end of the day, there's justification, less argument, and there's clarity. So if you can't afford or you want a discount, then we move on to the next step. But I think you have to be very straightforward, very clear, and as far as possible, move it away from you, if it is possible to move it to somebody else to handle the money issues, and you focus on the service delivery. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.